Hi there, this is Mike Ram of Weight Loss and Personal Development. So I've just come across this podcast entitled Making a Masterpiece Out of Your Life, and looking at oneself as the master craftsman who learns his skill over the course of life and truly hones them into skills that can create that masterpiece so that you have a finished product and you can look back and see what you've done and the rest of the world can admire it. Well, that's the principle of it anyway. I wonder how much this sort of principle can be applied to what I'm talking about here, because obviously this is a weight loss first site. That's what I'm principally here to do. And obviously having a good body, having a body you love, having a body that you cherish and that is in the best shape it is just one of the steps that you can take to actually creating your masterpiece. And to my mind, it's a very good step to take along the way, because it does lead to so many other good things happening. There are so many spin-offs of losing weight that really the list seems pretty endless sometimes. It just contains so many other good things that come about as a result, and I don't mind enumerating them. And if you've lost weight, then you've probably come across some of these things. First of all, and maybe most important to many people who have had the sort of Damocles hanging over their heads because they were overweight, there are the obvious health benefits. Being overweight carries intrinsic risks, basically. Risk to your heart, risks from the possibility of a stroke, your blood pressure tends to be high, your chances of getting cancer seem to be higher. It seems to be an indicator that that's a possibility. Diabetes, problems with your lungs, problems with your skeletal system. You know, the amount of weight that your knees, for instance, have to take is a possible problem lurking there underneath the surface that you may have to look at. And kidney problems, other organs. And then again, there's mental health as well. I think many people, when they're overweight, are depressed. That's a fairly common symptom. And the good you can do to your mental health when you lose weight is not just confined to losing that depression, but also can involve having a much clearer head, losing the fog, the mental fog, which may have plagued you for a while, and also vastly improved self-confidence. I mean, it's not surprising, is it, when you think about it? You go from being somebody who's probably not that happy to take all their clothes off on the beach and display everything, to becoming somebody that is quite happy to flaunt their bodies in bathing suits, bikinis, whatever. And obviously things like your attractiveness to your partner may well improve, or a potential partner. You look more lively, you can play sports better, therefore you're bound to be involved in more things in an active way. You know, if you're slimmer, you can play with your children better, your grandchildren. I think that is something that motivates people. You know, it's not often said, but overweight mothers, for instance, feel quite conscious about it, you know, chasing their children around and having fun with them, that they aren't maybe able to be as fully involved as they like. I don't say that this is necessary for everybody who is overweight. It's not necessarily the truth. Some people move very well when they're overweight. It just depends who you are and how you feel. And that's obviously what it comes down to, is how you feel with anything. So there are all these things. I think the attractiveness thing, the desirability as a sexual being is pretty high up the list. I think that people are, at least in the first place, more attracted to people who have slim bodies, who aren't carrying a pile of weight. Which is, again, not to say that there aren't exceptions to this. Of course there are. Some people like more fleshy people. Fashions do change, and I think the latter part of the 20th century and the earlier part of this century, we've tended to like more slimmed down versions than the larger versions which are more current in the 19th century and going back. It's these things are what is current rather than indexical over all times. So obviously the chances of having a better love life come into it. So as a start out for personal development, weight loss is obviously a very useful tool, a good starting place for when you create your masterpiece, i.e. your life, making your life into a masterpiece, which is no different from really saying becoming the best expression of yourself, creating the best expression of yourself. And that's just the physical side. Obviously when you lose weight, making your body fitter as well, using your body in different ways, whether it's to do running, swimming, weightlifting, all these things. Obviously we don't have to all be like weightlifters or super fit sprinters, but having a degree of physical fitness makes a massive difference to our lives. Times I felt fit, I felt far more on top of the world than I have done when I felt unfit. Having an extra spring in one step, just feeling more capable. The body feels more poised. It just functions better as a unit, and I think in many ways fitness and weight loss go together, because as one loses weight, one tends to want to tone up one's body and turn it into the best instrument one can. And for a lot of us, starting off from our physical bodies seems the obvious way of going. Now from that you can take other aspects of one's life, one's creativity, one's intellect, one's ability to do useful work and to be involved in something that makes a difference to people's lives. That's all part of it. And obviously one's spiritual life comes into making a masterpiece out of one's life, because that's, again, a very important area that we all have to pay attention to. And there's no conflict, if you're fit, between that and having a spiritually meaningful life, because that can be as important. And a lot of people meditate these days and practice other spiritual paths, but meditation seems to be a very popular way of doing it. And obviously if you're into yoga, that ties in the physical with the spiritual as well as the mental, so that's obviously a very good tool that many people use. And what else do you need for a full life that's the best expression of yourself? you want to have your finances in order. You want career satisfaction in ways that are meaningful to you, not just carry on working at a dead-end job, but actually have work that resonates with you as being socially useful, but also satisfying to you, which is not, not everybody manages to achieve that, but there are ways because of the internet where you can actually improve the quality of your life if you're prepared to put in a lot of hard work and actually become an online entrepreneur, for instance, which I think a lot of people do try. Some succeed, many fail, but it's worth having a go at because you may actually find that you're very good at it. So I would not discourage that. But, this is fundamentally a weight loss thing. So I'm talking about turning your whole life into a masterpiece, but using your body and the shape you're in as a starting point. It's a very valid starting point to creating what you eventually want to create, over time. And as I've said, weight loss can lead to all these other benefits, which really are not to be sneezed at. I mean, take gaining confidence, for instance. If you have confidence, then your entire approach to life changes. How people treat you changes, and therefore your enjoyment of life increases. And you feel more able to go and do things that require a certain amount of self-belief and understanding that you're perfectly capable of doing something. And very often we don't understand what we're capable of doing. I mean, for instance, when I was on a Tony Robbins program, I just broke a piece of wood in half with just my bare hands. I never knew I could do that. It was, it's a square piece of wood like that. And although I've told myself actually are probably fault lines in the wood since just to explain it to myself, I think maybe I'm doing myself down a bit. It's just an ordinary piece of wood that was there to either resist me if I didn't get the technique right or to break if I got it right. Anyway, it was something that, maybe I haven't given myself enough credit for having done, but it's very useful to have done it because, we don't always know what we're capable of until we try. And very often we don't even know that there's an opportunity to try. So exploring the possibilities in life is of endless usefulness because it can really turn us on to things that we didn't know we could do. I found out with painting when I was, this is about 30 years ago, I suddenly decided to give painting a go. And I realised I could do it, and I could do okay at it, and I could draw. And, if I hadn't had that spirit of adventure to begin with and just created sort of colour blasts on paper for myself, I'd have never have known. Because my approach to it was right. I thought of painting as colour initially rather than shapes. And the shapes could look after themselves later in the piece, but just experimenting with colour seemed to be the way to do it for me. And I found I could do it, and I got a lot of fun out of it. Things like that. We don't always know what we can do, what we're good at, until we try. And okay, we probably don't realise our full potential in our lives, but we can go some considerable distance by thinking we can do more than we set out to do. And so this personal development game is a very important thing for us if we wish to make progress in life, if we wish to grow rather than fall backwards. And it's important to grow rather than to fall backwards, as I'm constantly being told. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say today. View your life as a potential masterpiece, like the master craftsman Michelangelo used to see an exact sculpture in any block of stone he took. A block of marble would have within it the entire sculpture that Michelangelo wished to create, that he wished to carve, and that was part of his magic, because he could already see it in the lump of stone, and he merely had to uncover it from the material he had. And for you it's the same. Uncover the masterpiece within the stone that you have at your disposal. Thank you for listening. Bye for now, and hopefully catch you on another video.